Hello again, everybody, and welcome into Countdown to Tip-Off, presented by UT Knoxville alumni and Tennessee Athletics. Thank you for joining us for our virtual pep rally. I'm Brian Rice, Tennessee alum and Knoxville radio personality, coming to you live from the Tyson Alumni House here on campus at the University of Tennessee. Our event would not be possible without our partners and sponsors, including Cellular Sales, Coca-Cola, Farm Bureau Insurance, First Horizon, Food City, Graduate Knoxville, Graphic Creations, Pilot Company, PYA, Threads, and UT Medical Center. All right, let's get started. Today's highlights include we're scheduled to be joined by VFL Ron Slay, who will be on the call of an SEC Network game tonight, but he's scheduled to join us from Starkville, Mississippi, coming up here in just a few. We will have a feature on Tennessee sophomore Jemai Meshack, highlights from the Vols win over then number one Alabama, keys to the game, and more. Before we jump in, we change things up on Countdown to Tip-Off. We want to hear from you. If you have questions about the team, tonight's game against Arkansas, or questions for our VFL guest, Ron Slay, type those into the comments box on any of the streaming services you are joining us from today, and we will get to a few of those later on in the show. Tennessee sophomore Jemai Meshack has been a huge bright spot for Tennessee, particularly defensively, earning the lockdown key during that win over Alabama. Let's take a look at his journey thus far here on Rocky Top.
Vescovy lost it on the dribble, gets it back. Fakes, can't get a shot off the Meshack. He's got to put up a three from the corner.
All right. Good shot, Jemai.
Meshack, a big three from the corner with the shot clock rolling down.
I think a leader is someone who adjusts. Adjusting as a leader is one of the most important things any leader can have.
Meshack leads it up ahead. Wow, and the throwdown.
I kind of found my role in that leadership, I would say, at a pretty young age. You know, it didn't come off as being a leader to me. It was just me just trying to make sure everybody was, having fun or on the same page, especially as a kid, just making sure everybody was, having fun, nobody left out. And I think that gradually turned into me using it on the court and using it as somewhat of a gift to give to others and to make sure that, everybody is enjoying themselves. I think in the beginning as a freshman, I definitely didn't want to bring myself down and make sure that I was still being able to be me. I love being a leader. I love being somebody that's outspoken, and I love being somebody that's encouraging to people, and just having that light. And I feel like positivity is one thing that a lot of people need, and I feel like that's just how you bring the best out of everybody. So I think when coming in, that was probably the biggest thing, was just I didn't want to change myself, and I wanted to, bring it to the team and see how that worked out. I think everybody pretty much on the team kind of saw it, somewhat when I was talking a little bit more and starting to get more comfortable. And everybody would pretty much have their own say on, like, we want you to be more of a leader like you naturally are, and just to go into that role. And everybody was pretty accepting of it. And, I listen to people, and there's definitely guys on the team that have leadership qualities as well that I make sure that I learn from and that I take to my own leadership. But I think everybody was pretty much, on board with, how I was being a leader. With our four seniors, they've really had a huge role on not just me, but everybody on the team. Individually, with Olivier, he does a great job with being personable of everybody and, not just focusing on one person, but trying to take on everybody on the team. I think Santi is a little bit the same way, but I think he's more of a leader that you see on the court, and his fire that he brings, you can't help but to acknowledge it and to be, inspired by it. I think Josiah, he has many different leadership qualities. It's something that he brings on and off the court, and something that I appreciate and I've kind of learned from, for sure. With Euros, he does a great job with doing it on the court as well, and somebody that you can see, you see that he loves the game, and you can't help but to follow after that. I think, for me, it's not just focusing on one individual, but focusing on all four of them as a whole, and just how they've brought that leadership quality and how they've managed that and made it into something that is Tennessee basketball, and it's represented well. So I just make sure that I take something from each and every one of them. How I would describe my leadership style is different depending on the person that I'm with. I feel like people should be treated differently depending on their temperament. You know, some people do well with, hard leadership, making sure they're on you a lot. And some people do well to, compliments and, encouragement, and I like to have a balance of both depending on who I'm talking to. I just think learning to adjust to different situations is going to make you be prepared for, anything.
And looking forward to Jemai Meshack playing a huge role tonight. Somebody who always played a huge role for Tennessee. Lock the door. It's time to welcome in my buddy Ron Slay, who has the call tonight of Mississippi State and South Carolina, right, Slay?
Yeah, I do, B. Rice. How you doing, man?
Doing great. So excited for you. Of course, Nashville radio host, the 2003 SEC Player of the Year. They talked a lot in that video about leadership, and we'll take questions for Slay coming up here in just a few. You can type those into the comment box on wherever you're streaming us from today. But you were the unquestioned leader of your teams. How did you embrace that role, and how did you come about that role when you played at Tennessee?
Man, I think over the years, man, it was a maturation of, becoming a leader and being settled into that slot, and knowing just kind of who you are and what you bring to the team. I think when I first came in, it's different roles as far as a leader goes. And initially, my freshman year, I was more of an energy leader, and I took that.
Right?
Yeah. I took that, man, and ran with it, man. I used that to energize our team, and most definitely the crowd. I always felt like home court is something big, and to be able to have that in your side pocket was always great. So I always wanted to do whatever it was to energize them. And then as my sophomore year came, a little bit changed. I became a little bit more as far as getting more minutes played. So you had to find different ways, and it kind of stayed the same, but I just had to find more so ways that you impact the game as far as coming off the bench and having a good game. But then my junior year, I came into it. Now me and Vince were ready to roll. Marcus Hayslip as well, but me and Vince kind of took the bull by the horns and was like, everybody follow us, and tore my ACL. And after that, man, it was my senior year, and the senior year coming into it, it was a whole different cast of characters. Being the big dog when I'm used to being the baby, and knowing that I got to lead by example and not really follow. I always had Isaiah Victor to follow, CJ Black, Charles Hathaway, all those guys to follow. I didn't have that no more, so I had to set the precedent. With me and John Higgins, him with the guards, and I took the bigs, and then we'll come together and meet and see how we can impact the team and get everybody on the same page. So it evolved over the years, and it was just something you had to be comfortable with and being yourself. And I mean, you're not going to be liked a lot, you know what I'm saying? But the results, if we all trying to get the same results, then you'll follow me, and I promise we'll all get there at the same time and at a good pace. If you listen to me, you got to listen to me, though. If you don't listen to me, be right, I'll snatch them up and let them know. Y'all better listen.
How did you find the right balance on the court between being fiery and emotional and being calm and composed when you had to be and when you needed it?
Well, it kind of always depended on the person that was in front of me. When especially my early years, like if Isaiah Victor or CJ Black, one of those guys got in foul trouble, then I knew I had to tone it down a little bit, because they were going to need me to play minutes, because I couldn't come out. But if they were coming out, if I was subbing in for them to get a break, I always said in my mind, I'm going 4 minutes as hard as I can. Like, I didn't have asthma, but I wanted to be wheezing when I came to the bench in my early years, man. Because it's just different things that fire people up, and that goes from your teammates to your coaches. It gives people belief and whether you're down. If you're down points or you're up points, you'll never want to lose momentum in a game. It's going to be peaks and valleys, but you got to be able to kind of gauge that. My IQ was real high. I always used to put on jokes and be the clown and the class clown a little bit, but I always understood the game. I always did my homework. I always, watched my opponent and keyed in on what their deficiencies were, and I brought it to the light. So I think it's just different when you when you go through it and you're trying to find things of how you can be that spark. And that's what I felt it was when you coming off the bench, being a spark. And as it went on, then it was different. Then it was about shouldering the load, and I needed somebody else to be the spark, and I was just gonna be the leader, standing there taking the first hit. But I was gonna get one too.
People have seen you now come back as a radio host in Nashville, now on the SEC Network, in the studio on the weekends, on games during the week. What did your career look like from when you left Tennessee to when people see you now on TV and radio?
Man, it was a long journey. Long journey. Going to Istanbul, Turkey. That been my first year out of school. Going through the draft process, not being drafted, dealing with the emotions of that. To relate it to an aircraft carrier, it was a lot of turbulence. A whole lot of turbulence getting through that. But once I got settled, man, and started to understand, like, it's a way that you can make a career over here. In Europe, that kind of went on autopilot and went through that and ended up playing 14 years. And then when I got back, luckily, man, there was some great people at the University of Tennessee. That's why I tell everybody, man, when you choosing a school, especially if you from the state of Tennessee, you better choose wisely. You better choose wisely. If you a Tennessee kid and you going way out to North Dakota or Minnesota or something for school, man, think about where you coming back to. You know what I'm saying? So I was in good standing with a lot of people, right? So it was easy for me to come back, have those relationships, talk about finishing my degree, went through that process. And all of a sudden I went on like a little media tour when it was time to graduate. And Heather Harrington, over 99.1, she told me, man, you may be cut out for this. And I was like, oh no, Heather, this is just cool. I want to get into coaching. I want to get closer to the game. And man, it kind of started bubbling, and one thing led to another. Had a lot of people. Garth Bolden in Nashville hooked me up with a radio station, an AM small radio station. I had the boom boom room going for an hour a day, no commercials, B. Rice, no commercials, 1 hour straight talk. Like, it was crazy. And so that got my feet wet, man, to it. And then I was like, man, this is kind of cool. I get to be close around the game. I get to talk. I like to talk, and talk about the game, and then talk about the university that I love and meant so much to me. And also be able to mentor people in a different type of way. So that's kind of where it took off, man. And then I fell into the arms of 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. Ramon Foster got on first. He left. I always say I got to give credit to him, man, because I was just floating in Nashville doing the AM station, and he mentioned to him, y'all might want to take a look at Slay. They took a look at me, auditioned, it seemed like for 6 months. Then they finally brought me on, man, and I'm working with a great group, and everybody over at the Zone, especially my teammates, Babs and Mayor, Brent Daughter and Don Davenport on 3HL every day. So it's just, I'm having a great time, man.
And then we're seeing you on TV, SEC Network's on the weekend. I think you have a lot of fun in the studio, but I gotta tell on you here, your first game as a color analyst, I texted my buddy Tom Hart and said, really enjoying Slay tonight, and he said, me too. So that's good credit from a guy like that. Do you enjoy the studio more or calling games?
Man, it's a little bit of both, because I like being able to have the breakdown of the game on the wrap up at night in the studio. It's a lot of work, but I also like working with people behind the scenes, figuring out what they do. Man, the games, it's just nothing like being at an SEC game. I don't care if it's the bottom of the barrel team or the top. It's just something about being in it, the adrenaline, the starting lineups, the popcorn, coming in your suit. Like, I still listen to my game time music when I'm getting dressed with my suit on and everything coming to the game. So, hey, man, I try to still put the same fire in it that I did when I played, and I'm having a ball with it. I really love both, man, and it's nothing like being sideline during the game, and you're watching plays develop, and you're trying to explain it to the people on TV. That's fun, man. And then work with a guy like Tom Hart. Tom make it easy, man. Tom just lobbing it up and having a great time.
Let's take a couple of questions from our audience here. If you have questions for VFL Ron Slay, just type those in. Vol Society asks, your most memorable time at Tennessee?
Ooh, gosh. Hey, man, it's literally so many memories. And I mean, from basketball to going to watch the Lady Vols play, to going to watch the football team, watch the baseball team. I have to go back to let's say the beginning. When I came on an unofficial visit, Oak Hill Academy, we came down to watch a game. It happened to be the Tennessee-Florida game in '98, and we all know how that game ended. We're sitting there in the stands. We're about 10 rows up, and the kick, the kick goes through, and everybody starts storming the field, and I'm headed down there. I'm like, and Coach Smith, I feel somebody grab my shirt, and it was Coach Smith, the legendary Coach Steve Smith at Oak Hill Academy. He grabbed my shirt and said, "Slay, oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that." I'm like, "No, Coach, that's where I'm going, man. I'm going down there." So that was a hell of an experience, man, and that was just a piece of it. That was a piece of it. I remember going back. We rode in a 15-passenger van going back to the mouth of Wilson, Virginia. Coach Smith, Coach Smith, and Coach Stoneman were the only ones awake. And I'm sitting up there in the middle, like, "Hey, man, Coach, you can call them tomorrow. Tell them I'm ready to sign." Like, they got me off the football game. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the fondest memories, man. Being able to rub elbows with legendary coaches like Coach Former, man, AD, Coach Dickey, and Coach Summit, like just passing people like that by in the hallways and them dropping nuggets, never being too big not to answer a question. You know, even if it was a random question, you know, Coach Summit would always answer a question. I remember going into my senior year, I asked her in the hallway. They was just passing the hallway. I was like, "Coach, you got to give me something. Man, I got a young bunch coming in. I got to get through this season. I'm coming off the ACL. I'm fighting. I'm mentally there individually. I got to get this team there." She was like, "You got to understand, it's always the game is based on runs, and how quick can you counter those runs?" And I was like, "Okay, Coach, I don't really understand what that means, but I got you. I'm gonna take it." But as the season started to go, you started to understand, you know. And I was like, "Okay, so everybody's gonna go on the run, whether it's a 6-0 run, 2-0 run, 12-0 run. How quick can you counter that and start your own run and keep and shield that other run away? So you let them go on a 2-0 run, kill theirs, and go on to another one for yourself." So it started to make sense, and I carried that throughout. But there's so many greats, from coaches to players, administration, media, everything. Like that's one thing I say about Tennessee. The fondest memory probably is the family atmosphere, especially coming through in that time.
We'll take one more question from the crowd before we preview Tennessee and Arkansas quickly. This one, you're part of teams that began the process of Tennessee becoming a basketball school. How has it been to see the progression of this program being nationally prominent year after year?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I always talk about me coming up. I was a fan of the Razorbacks, and Nola Richardson, 40 Minutes of Hell, and looking at the Kentucky because of one of my mentors is Ron Mercer. Watching him, he went there. I was like, man, that'd be cool. But to know that when I was coming to Tennessee, it was already put in place. The fence was put around the state. Tony Harrison went up there. He's All-American. Vincent Yarborough, All-American. Charles Hathaway, All-American. Like, the list goes on and on. CJ Black from Brainerd. Like, I remember when they were recruiting me, our roster had 12 of the 14 guys or 15 guys were from the state of Tennessee. And so when you do that, that lets you know you're going to play with a different pride, because it's not just playing about the school. You playing for the whole state and being a representation of it. And that makes it much easier to go out there and give your all for Tennessee, because you literally giving your all for Tennessee, place you grew up. And it made it easier. So to see that evolve, and I remember Vincent Yarborough, he always said, what did he say? You want to be a part. They asked him, "Why did you come to Tennessee?" And he said he wanted to be a part of that giant awakening. So that always resonated with me, him being a year older and me getting my opportunity to go up there. It was everything I wanted it to be. And I knew we were going to start something. And it was up to us when we started doing recruiting visits to be able to reach back and bridge those gaps, kind of like what Josiah is in his place to do, with guys like Meshack and all these guys, Grant Williams to reach back, them to reach back to Hubs, and Hubs to reach back to the ones before him, Chris Lofton. It's a big bridge, man. Tony White and all those guys did the same for me. So that's part of it. It's part of it.
Larry and Karen there say put on the headband, go Vols. Let's put on tonight's keys to the game for Tennessee and Arkansas. What do the Vols have to do to keep the momentum going coming off the win over South Carolina on Saturday?
You got to be healthy. Hopefully get the bodies back, get Julian Phillips back. You got to be able to try to match up with their length. Arkansas doesn't do a terrific job of boxing out. So this will be an opportunity to take advantage if you are if you're the bigs, if you're Eurosh, if you're Olivier, Adu, Tobey, if you can get an opportunity to have an impact on their game. When they go small, you got to beat them up on the glass. It's part of, like you did Texas, take advantage. It's not necessarily going to show up in the stats, but if they got to take two to box you out, if they put Walsh at the 4 or some of that nature, you got to take advantage and be accountable and give us second chance points. That'll be big time, even just attempts. Also, you got to stay out of foul trouble. These guys are great at coming down, getting to the basket, applying pressure. Got to play without fouling, cut off passing, cut off driving lanes, no straight line drives. And you just got to hope that contest shots. You don't need Arkansas like they did against Georgia at home a week ago, making 8 to 10 threes. Then it's trouble because they're going to get out in transition and run. You keep them about 3 or 4 or 5 threes a game, you got a great chance of beating them. But they're talented. You got to match their energy, you got to match their athleticism, and you got to go out there and play Tennessee basketball and use the home court. You got to use the home court. That's a team that's young, got a young point guard. They can't get rattled, and it's up to the crowd to pour into it. And I think Tennessee comes out victorious.
Always great to catch up with you. Always great to hear your insight on basketball. I'll put the other game on the other TV in the living room tonight and see you on it, but we'll be locked into the Vols in Arkansas tonight. Slay, thanks so much for carving out some of your day here on a broadcast day, and look forward to seeing you as this season continues.
Most definitely. Vol Nation, man, y'all send these seniors out the right way. And remember, man, we do not lose on senior night. We don't lose on senior night. I'm in a place where we had to play Mississippi State on senior night. And you know who went out of there proud? We spoil senior nights, baby. We want to get our spoiled. Let's go. Let's go, Vol Nation.
I love it. Slay, thanks so much. We appreciate it. That is the 2003 SEC Player of the Year, Ron Slay. It wasn't a Tennessee Saturday night this time around, but in keeping with tradition as of late, Tennessee basketball claimed victory over the number 1 team in the nation earlier this month. Let's take a look back at Tennessee and Alabama.
Welcome to Rocky Top as we present the SEC on ESPN. A huge night in the conference, and the best team in the country, Alabama, puts its unbeaten conference record on the line here at Thompson Bowling Arena. Number 1 against number 10, Tennessee.
Let's play harder. When they walk out of here, I want them to look back and say, who are those guys? Nobody's guarding us. We're going to guard. We're going to win again. All right?
Here's Sears going to the basket. His shot's blocked out of bounds by Adu. I'll tell you what, Tennessee is dogging Alabama right now defensively. They really are. They're making everything hard.
Right now, Tennessee is dominating this game on the defensive end, and that has made their offense better.
Oh, what a play! Besky the pass. Oklahoma finish.
Gives to Besky. He's got an open look, top of the key, and he hits. Money! Battle on the boards, it's loose. Plotchich takes it out of there. Gives to Ziegler a long three. He's good. Money!
Big Euros got that offensive rebound and kicked it out.
Goes again to the basket. Kicks it out. Stolen by Ziegler on the outlet. Tennessee with the ball. Ahead to Key. Lays it in. No good. Tipped up and in by Adu.
Talk to me, Adu.
Top of the key, Ziegler steps back, a 3 on the way. Good!
Money!
Ziegler goes to the basket, kicks it off underneath Plotchich, fakes, goes up, and scores!
Euros!
Lob it, Kamwa slams it! Shot clock at 6, at 5, shot good from the corner! 10 seconds to go on the shot clock, Miller's got Ziegler. Ziegler goes to the basket, throws it up and in with the left hand!
Over everybody! Over everybody! Little Zakai!
Everybody standing at Thompson Bowling Arena. What a roar from this crowd, and they've been in this game all night long. The Tide topples tonight at Thompson Bowling Arena as Tennessee wins it 68-59.
What a great night that was. Tennessee can try to continue that momentum and try to get a little bit of that positive energy back tonight in the final home game of the year against Arkansas. It's now time to announce our Vol Fan of the Week and a winner of a Vol prize pack. Congratulations to Denise Coleman. Denise, keep an eye out on your mailbox for a Big Orange package coming your way soon. Now, this is our last countdown to tip-off for the season, but right around the corner, we'll switch gears for First Pitch Friday, our softball and baseball pregame shows. If you want a chance to win a Vol or Lady Vol prize pack during those events, visit alumni.utk.edu to register. Now let's welcome in Associate Vice Chancellor for Alumni Relations, Dwayne Wiles. Dwayne, basketball season rolls on. Last home game tonight. Postseason's coming. An exciting time on campus.
It truly is. And let me tell you, I'm still pumped up and got my blood flowing from listening to Ron Slay. What a great ambassador for the University of Tennessee. Hey, Vol Nation. Look, before the game tonight, I want to share with you how you can be proud, be involved, and be invested in UT. First, be proud by always wearing that orange, representing the Power T everywhere you go. Another way to show your pride is by purchasing the UT license plate. And proceeds from every plate support student scholarships. So when you're in town, if you're here from the state of Tennessee, make sure to visit your local county clerk. And when you do, ask them to switch it to orange. Secondly, be involved by attending in-person and virtual events like today. If you haven't yet, we ask that you join our new exclusive online alumni network that we call Connect UT. Here, you can mentor current students, you can post jobs, and connect with fellow alumni. All you have to do is visit connect.tennessee.edu today. And lastly, be invested by impacting the lives of our students. Make one gift any size every year to an area of the university that you're passionate about. You can do it now by visiting online alumni.utk.edu, and then when you get to the site, select Make a Gift. Lastly, before we wrap up our show, let's count down the tip-off starting right now.
Long pass, alley-oop. Conway slams it. Wow. Another open look for Veskamy, and a chance for a four-point play.
Thanks, Dwayne. Always appreciate it. Had the opportunity to catch up with the Knoxville chapter of the UT Knoxville alumni this past weekend for the Tip-Off Barbecue at Calhoun's on the River. We had a great time, a great turnout, and certainly appreciate everybody's support of the University of Tennessee and its students. Thank you so much for joining us all season long and here today on Countdown to Tip-Off. Be sure to tune in tonight as the Vols take on Arkansas at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. Let's go Big Orange and beat the Razorbacks.